Everybody, gonna wait for some people to pop on. But I asked a question regarding, what barrier are you currently facing right now? And we all face these barriers as we start out. So it's not uncommon, but I'll tell you, welcome. Thanks for coming here live with me on a Saturday. I appreciate you. So if you look at the comments section, you'll see what other people are facing right now. And we all face this in the beginning, but that doesn't help you. You really need solutions to this, right? I get emails regularly that people have finished a degree. I had an email from a lady that had finished her degree in 2016. And so she spent a lot of time trying to apply for jobs and was not successful. And another guy emailed me and said the same thing. I've had many emails over especially the last 5 years, that said, I tried to get in and couldn't because they just don't hire inexperienced people. That is very far from the truth, because what I had to learn to do after sitting in my little makeshift office when I moved to Florida, and I sat there for 3 weeks panicking because I could not land a job. And that was with experience, until I found out from 2 different attorneys what I was missing. And this is as a person who had 5 years experience at that point. But it doesn't matter. You have to do the same thing in your cover letter. We are focusing on our resume, which is great, but they only look at that for 15 seconds. And so you need to make a shift, and you need to use that cover letter as more than what I was doing, using it as an introduction to my resume, which they only look at for a nanosecond. So the cover letter has to talk about how you're going to help the attorney. What do you need to, what are those things that you know how to do in assisting that attorney in the area of law they work in? So if you are trying to get into family law, and a lot of people on this page are trying to get into family law, criminal law, real estate law, different areas of law, but those are the top 3, as well as perhaps bankruptcy law, which is a little depressed right now, okay? Lots of reasons for that, but this is not the video for that. So when you're looking at family law, and you see ads come up for that, and you're like, well, Leslie, I went to school, now in California, it's required. There are certain requirements, and it's the only state that has like absolutes, okay, that you must have this. The other 49 states are not saying you have to have a degree or you have to have a certificate. There are options, and then there's an option for none of that, okay? Most of the regulations for the 49 other states are quite different than California's. So if you're in California, take this with a grain of salt, because they have hard and fast rules. So that's always my caveat, that California is different. If you see ads where they're requiring 1 year experience, there should be no stopping you from applying to that job as a beginner. Are you letting that stop you? Okay. If you are, and no matter what the skills say that they list in the ad, if they list them, let's go over to this side now. What do you know how to do to help the attorney? Now, if you've watched any of my videos in the last few weeks to a month, you know that I tell you to go get my Paralegal Playbook, which is free. Okay. Why do I tell you to go get that? Why did I create that? Well, you know what? There's one page on there in the middle of the page that talks about paralegal duties and researching them. So if you wanted to go into family law, then you would research family law paralegal duties. Now, in the playbook, I give you search terms to use to research different areas of law. Now, how does that play into impressing the attorney? Well, it will impress the hiring attorney greatly if you, first of all, for yourself, you research, and I'm using this just as an example, paralegal duties for family law, or switch it around. Family law, paralegal duties, switch those search terms around on Google so that it will bring up different results. Write it down in your notebook. What are those duties? Then become very familiar with how to perform some of those duties. Why? Because this is what you put in your cover letter. Are you having to be an expert? Are you trying to do something and say something that you're not? No, you're educating yourself. This is what I did when I switched areas of law that I was working in. I went from working in something called condemnation litigation in my first job to personal injury. Light years difference between the two. But I had to, along the way, learn to say to the attorney, I know how to do this, this, and this. Saying that you have a strong work ethic in your cover letter, they expect that. So that's a waste of words in your cover letter, okay? Saying that this is an introduction and here's my resume, that's a waste of a cover letter. But saying to the attorney, I know how to do XYZ, will make that attorney sit up and take notice. It took my cover letter along with my resume that will only be looked at for 15 seconds to the top of the job applicant pile. It makes a huge difference for beginners. It absolutely does. Okay. It makes a difference whether you're a beginner. And why does it make a difference? Because that shows that you're a self-starter, because they don't train on the job, even if the ad says so. You watch a lot of my other videos, you'll hear me talk about this because it's true. Okay. And so take away that doubt from their mind and insert the fact that you've already taken it upon yourself to learn some of the duties. Not all of them. You could. You absolutely could. But you've taken it upon yourself to learn a few of the duties, which other job applicants have not done. So will they see that difference? Absolutely. That makes an incredible impression. And attorneys are very willing to hire beginners. Now, when you do this, what's the other effect that this has? Well, if you learn some of those duties and you know more than a lot of beginners do, then by that point, then you should take it upon yourself to ask for more money. That does not mean you're going to get paid $50,000 to $60,000 if that's what your dreams were. That is absolutely, for most people, unreachable as a beginner, because they know what you don't know. So shock them by learning some of those duties. Truly, it will make a difference. But don't apply for jobs that say they want 3 to 10 years experience. You know, you cannot apply. You could, but it's going to be an effort in futility. Hi, Renee. Good to see you. Apply for the jobs for the entry level, because that's what you are at this point. Will you be entry level after a year or two? Absolutely not. But then once you land the job, and I know that's where you are right now, where you're trying to land a job, but once you land that job, and when you learn those skills that I'm telling you to learn in whatever area of law you're looking to go into, I want you to write down everything you're learning. Why? Because that means money. That means a higher salary. Does that mean you're going to start out at $25 to $30 an hour? No, there are no promises about that. But when you take it upon yourself to learn more, you not only expect, like, you cannot expect the attorney to understand all of that. You have to point that out in the interview. So when you land the interview, obviously they saw something they liked, but you cannot sit there in the interview without asking questions and showing initiative. Now stay, when you go into that thing of saying, I have a strong work ethic, and you name off, some of those things, that's not exactly what they want to hear. Oh, you're welcome, White House. They want to hear how you're going to help them. And always remember, they don't run a school. So the more that you can show your initiative, I took it upon myself to go the extra mile and learn some more. But see, there's no hard and fast, Renee, base pay for somebody with an associate's degree. Let's go back to what I'm saying. What do you know how to do to help the attorney? For all of you watching, you have to make this mind shift from even if the degree is getting a foot in the door for some of you, especially in California that demands it, the degree or a certificate, whatever. There's a California business code. Write this down for those of you in California. If you don't know it already, California Business Code 6450. The other states have not passed that type of regulation, okay? They have paralegal regulations in each of the 49 states, but they have 3 different ways usually to get in, and it's 2-year degree, certificate, nothing, okay? But for the people that go in without the degree or certificate, you have to work for a certain amount of years for the attorney doing what we call substantive paralegal work in order, I don't mean clerical work, in order to be called a paralegal. So, I mean, it's, you put in the time and then you get the title, okay, for people who didn't go after the degree or the certificate. So it doesn't exclude people in the other 49 states, okay? So remember that. So can you, as a beginner, get more than minimum wage? You can if you study what the duties are for that type of paralegal. What type of paralegal? Well, what jobs are you applying for? For every job that you apply to, you've got to do this homework. You can't just apply because you're seeing that that's not working. Okay, because the attorneys know what you don't know. Prove them wrong by studying the paralegal duties. For what? Well, what jobs are you applying for? What type of law was it? Was it family law? Was it criminal law? Or is it real estate law and, real estate closings, or maybe real estate zoning? Is it business law? Maybe it's business law and how to set up corporations, right? So what do you know how to do then in that area? If we make assumptions, which we never do in the legal field, never guess. We don't make assumptions in this case either. We figure out, I had to figure out, and I had 2 attorneys call me and said, and they were asking me questions about what I knew how to do. See, I wasn't explaining that in the cover letter, even as an experienced paralegal. So stop doing the cover letter that says, I am interested in in the following position. That's okay to say, or however you do an intro. But the rest of your cover letter has to talk about how you're going to help the attorney and what you know how to do in that area of law. And you're like, well, I thought they provided training. Most places, most legal workplaces do not. Okay, so watch some of my other, even videos from this week, where I go into that a teeny bit more, all right? My videos are short. They used to be a lot longer, but they're short. So you can take 3 minutes out of your day or 15 minutes to watch 5 videos and take notes in your notebook. All good paralegals take a lot of notes while you're watching videos, okay? Can you get in as a beginner? Yes, you can. Now, if you're in a town like I was, of 15,000 people, and I was out in the country besides that, outside of that town, I knew I had to go to Tulsa, Oklahoma, when I lived in Oklahoma, had to go to Tulsa in order to open up my job opportunities. So in my small town, everybody knew everybody, and people got on because they knew people. But in Tulsa, it was different. So, you know, if you're in a teeny tiny town, and one of my students in the Paralegal Inner Circle class, she was in a little town in upstate New York, and that lessens your opportunities. So, you know, then there's a choice. You drive further. She really didn't have that choice. Her choice was to move to the capital because she lived 2 hours away from the nearest big city. So that's just the fact of life, that if we're in, I'll pick out a city, you know, if I was in my town of Patterson or Clifton, New Jersey, where I grew up, versus New York City, much more opportunity in New York City, but your quality of life goes down because you're going to be on a bus for 2 hours every morning to get to work and have to leave at 7 in order to make it there on time. So yes, quality of life is diminished. But will they hire beginners? Yes, they're more than willing to. In fact, attorneys like to say, I can train anybody to be a paralegal. The thing is, they don't train. So you have to learn a lot of what you were not taught in a 2-year degree program, or, hey Franklin, good to see you, or a certificate program in how to assist the attorney. You have to take that upon yourself, okay, to learn what are these duties? How do I assist the attorney? How do I do this? You know, and many times people email me and say, I'm scared, I feel totally unprepared. But you can prepare yourself more, and you have to go the extra mile and do this homework. Can you ask for more money then once you do this homework? Why not? You're gonna learn more by doing this, and go to paralegalcoffeetalk.com, my website, and look under Paralegal Resource Hub tab and sign up to get that playbook. It's free. Get the playbook, but find the page that in the middle talks about researching paralegal duties. Now, this is not just to show you how to research. You have to learn how to do some of these duties and then talk about it, not only in your cover letter, but in the interview when you get called. Do you think most beginners are doing this? Most people who are looking to get into the field are doing this, but the ones who do it are changing what the results are. Okay? So take this seriously. Take it seriously, and don't rely on what you did in the past. Of course, you know, you can come from any area of past work, past experience, and pretty much get into the legal field. And my experience has been as a marketing secretary, as a cashier in a supermarket, retail in the first indoor mall in the world in New Jersey. So what did I have to bring to the table? I had a lot of customer service, which we call client relations in the legal field. But that's not going to get me the job. Understanding the paralegal duties and saying, I know how to do XYZ will help you. Well, Franklin, you know, I had two aunties that were legal secretaries. One aunt had been a legal secretary, oh gosh, probably for 30 years, and then another aunt had worked for a judge, and they still called them legal secretaries in the 70s. It was in the 80s when things started to shift and the paralegal career came into being, but a lot of legal secretaries were doing all those duties. Some weren't, but other ones the attorney was giving them, you know, more duties that would be research and that type of thing. But legal secretaries were doing that as well. So it started to, then NALA came out, National Association of Legal Assistants in Tulsa, and started offering a course to become a certified paralegal. Not the same as getting a certificate, okay? That's a certificated paralegal. But a certified paralegal has to go through NALA, and there's another organization called NFPA. I think it's NF like in Frank, P like in Peter, A.org, I think it is. So anyway, I hope this was helpful. I hope you'll take this advice and learn how, you know, what do paralegals do every day. That's when you do that research I talked about in this video, then you will absolutely, and not just research, learn, once you see, oh, these are all the duties, but what does this mean? And you research each of those duties then and learn how to perform some of them. Did I say all of them? No, I said some of them. So, and where should that go? You should talk about it in your cover letter, and then you're going to talk about it in the interview. Even if they're not asking you, you have to be proactive. That's the name of the game here. You're marketing yourself. They won't know unless you show and tell what you know how to do for them. And there are people who are sending in their resumes and cover letters, and they're not going this extra mile. You will raise yours to the top of the pile. I have seen it happen with my students, with myself. So once I did that, I started getting calls back. But I sat there for 3 weeks in my own office and didn't get a call back. And I'm like, what is happening? And it was something that it took me a while to figure out. And then it was like the light bulb went off. So do this. Go to paralegalcoffeetalk.com and get that playbook under Paralegal Resource Hub. You'll see it. You have to sign up to get it. Get it today. It's a PDF. And then look for that page in the middle where it talks about what I just mentioned, okay, the paralegal duties. And if you can join us, then get on the wait list for the Cover Letter Secrets class, and you'll see that under courses, or the classes aren't open now, or the Paralegal Inner Circle class. Everything on the website is for beginners, okay? So have a great day, and let me know if this was helpful to you today. I would love to hear your feedback, and or if you think of any other barriers, just post them in the comments, because it helps other people to hear what the solutions are, okay? Have a great day. Have a wonderful 4th. Have a great weekend, and I'll talk to you in the next video.